You check your phone 47 times a day, and you didn't pay a cent for the privilege. That should bother you more than it does. Because here's the thing nobody wants to say out loud. When something is free, you're not the customer, you're the product, you're the livestock. You're being farmed like cattle in a digital feedlot, and the fence is so well designed you don't even see the barbed wire. This isn't a metaphor. This is the most efficient extraction operation in human history, and it's happening in your pocket right now while you scroll through photos of someone's lunch. We're going to trace this back before the apps, before the internet, before the screens. Because this game is older than you think. The con is ancient. Only the tools have changed. Let me take you somewhere first. Chicago, 1929. The stockyards. Picture this. 4 square miles of pens and chutes and slaughterhouses on the south side. At its peak, this place processed more meat than anywhere else on Earth. Millions of animals every year. Hogs, cattle, sheep. An entire industrial ecosystem built on a simple principle. You get the animals to walk into the system voluntarily. You design the chutes so they can only move in one direction. And once they're in, there's no way out except the way you intended from the beginning. The genius wasn't the killing. The genius was the efficiency. Every part of the animal got used. Nothing wasted. Blood became fertilizer. Bones became buttons. Hooves became glue. The owners of these operations understood something fundamental about extraction. You don't just take the obvious value. You take everything. You create systems where the product doesn't even understand it's being processed until it's already over. Now stay with me, because this connects. Fast forward to 1957. A psychologist named James Vicary stands in front of a room full of advertising executives and makes an announcement that will change everything. He claims he's discovered something revolutionary. During a movie screening, he says he flashed messages on the screen, messages too fast for the conscious mind to register. Phrases like, drink Coca-Cola and eat popcorn. Subliminal advertising. He claimed it increased sales by 18%. It was a lie. Vickery made up the numbers. He admitted it years later. But here's what matters. The lie was so powerful, so seductive to the advertising industry, that it didn't matter whether it was true, because the idea itself revealed what these people really wanted. They wanted access to your brain without your permission. They wanted to reach past your defenses and plant seeds directly in your subconscious. They wanted to turn you into something that could be programmed. The Federal Communications Commission banned subliminal advertising in the United States. But the desire didn't go away. It just went underground. It evolved. It waited for better technology. Here's what most people don't understand about the 20th century. The entire back half of it was a laboratory. Every advertisement, every commercial, every billboard was an experiment in manipulation. How do you make someone want something they don't need? How do you create desire from nothing? How do you bypass rationality and speak directly to the lizard brain? They figured it out, slowly, painfully, through decades of trial and error. They learned that sex sells, but fear sells better. They learned that people don't buy products, they buy identities. They learned that scarcity creates urgency. They learned that if you can make someone feel inadequate, you can sell them the solution to inadequacy forever. They learned that repetition works, that nostalgia works, that social proof works, that if you can associate your product with a feeling instead of a function, you can charge whatever you want. And then something happened that changed everything. The internet arrived. Not the internet you know now. The early internet, the Wild West version. 1995, 96, 97. Suddenly you had this new medium that combined the reach of television with the interactivity of a telephone with the permanence of print. And nobody knew what to do with it. The first instinct was to charge for everything. Pay for email, pay for news, pay for access, subscription models, the same business structure that had worked for newspapers and magazines for 100 years. But then something strange happened. A few companies tried a different approach. What if we made it free? What if we gave away the service and made money some other way? This wasn't a new idea, by the way. Radio had done this in the 1920s. Television had done this in the 1950s. You give away the content for free and sell advertising around it. The audience is the product you sell to advertisers. But on the internet, this model could be supercharged. Because unlike radio or television, the internet could track everything. Every click, every page view, every second spent looking at something. For the first time in history, advertisers could know exactly who was seeing their message, for how long, and what they did afterwards. The feedback loop became instantaneous. The laboratory became perfect. And then the smartphone arrived. 2007. The iPhone. The device that would put the internet in your pocket and never let it leave. Now we need to talk about a man named B.F. Skinner. Burrhus Frederick Skinner, behaviorist psychologist, died in 1990, never lived to see what his work would become, but his fingerprints are all over your phone. Skinner spent his career studying operant conditioning, the science of training behavior through rewards and punishments. He built boxes, Skinner boxes. Put a rat inside, install a lever. When the rat presses the lever, sometimes it gets food, sometimes it doesn't. The randomness is crucial, because when the reward is unpredictable, the behavior becomes compulsive. The rat will press that lever forever, long after it's full, long after it's exhausted. The uncertainty of the reward creates a loop in the brain that's almost impossible to break. Skinner understood something dark about behavior. You don't need to satisfy a desire to control it. You just need to keep the possibility of satisfaction alive. The hope is enough. The maybe is enough. Every app on your phone is a Skinner box. You pull down to refresh. Maybe there's a new email. Maybe there's a like. Maybe someone commented. Maybe, maybe, maybe. The maybe is the hook. The variable reward schedule. Sometimes you get nothing. Sometimes you get a dopamine hit. The randomness makes it addictive. This isn't an accident. This is design. The people who built these apps studied psychology. They studied neuroscience. They studied gambling. Because what they're building isn't software. It's a behavioral modification system. They're training you the same way Skinner trained his rats, with intermittent reinforcement, with unpredictable rewards, with variable schedules that keep you coming back. And here's the beautiful part from their perspective. You're doing it to yourself. You're pressing the lever. You're checking the app. You're refreshing the feed. All they had to do was build the box and make it free. Because that's the key to understanding this entire system. The word free is the most expensive word in the English language. Nothing is free, ever. Someone is paying, and if you can't figure out who's paying, it's you. Not with money, with something more valuable, your time, your attention, your behavior, your relationships, your mental health, your ability to think clearly, your capacity for deep work, your sense of self. Let me give you the numbers. And remember, we're writing these out because this is being spoken out loud. The average person spends 3 hours and 15 minutes per day on their phone. That's 50 days per year. If you live to 80, you'll spend 11 years staring at a screen that fits in your pocket. 11 years. But it's not just the time. It's what happens during that time. Every tap, every swipe, every pause is recorded. The apps are watching. How long did you look at that photo? What did you click on next? What time of day are you most active? What makes you angry? what makes you share, what makes you buy. This data is the product. You are the factory producing it. And the buyers are lining up. Advertisers, yes, but also insurance companies who want to know your risk profile. Employers who want to know if you're reliable. Banks who want to know if you'll default. Political campaigns who want to know which emotional buttons to push. Foreign governments who want to sow chaos. Your behavior is a commodity being traded on markets you can't see. But here's where it gets darker. Because the system isn't just watching you anymore. It's shaping you. The algorithms learn what keeps you scrolling, and then they show you more of it. If you engage with outrage, you get more outrage. If you watch conspiracy theories, you get deeper conspiracies. If you click on anxiety-inducing headlines, your feed becomes an anxiety machine. The system doesn't care about truth. It cares about engagement, and the human brain engages most strongly with threats, with anger, with fear, with tribalism. So that's what the algorithm feeds you, because the algorithm's job isn't to make you happy or informed or connected. Its job is to keep you in the app, to keep you pressing the lever. This is where we need to go back in time one more time. 1951. A social psychologist named Solomon Asch runs an experiment. He puts a person in a room with 7 others. He shows them a line on a card and asks which of 3 other lines matches its length. The answer is obvious. But the other 7 people, who are secretly working with Asch, all give the wrong answer. And here's what happens. 75% of the test subjects go along with the group at least once, even though they can see with their own eyes that the group is wrong. This is conformity. This is social pressure. This is the human need to belong overriding the evidence of our own senses. Now imagine that experiment running on 1 billion people simultaneously, 24 hours a day, algorithmically optimized for maximum effect. That's social media. The apps show you what everyone else is seeing, thinking, saying, buying, believing. They create artificial consensus. They make fringe ideas look mainstream. They make mainstream ideas look fringe. They can make you feel alone even when you're right. They can make you feel righteous even when you're wrong. And you can't opt out, because opting out means social death. It means missing the conversation, missing the news, missing the jokes, missing the events. The apps have colonized human connection itself. They've put a toll booth on friendship. You want to see photos of your niece? Better check Facebook. You want to know what your colleagues are talking about? Better check Slack. You want to stay in touch with your old college friends? Better keep that group chat alive. The apps have made themselves necessary by making themselves the infrastructure of modern life. And then they turned that infrastructure into a surveillance and manipulation engine. Let's talk about a company. Let's talk about Facebook. Founded 2004, Mark Zuckerberg. Dorm room at Harvard. The story you've heard 1,000,000 times. But here's what matters. In the beginning, Facebook was actually free in a real sense. Zuckerberg didn't know how to make money from it. It was just a website where college kids could post photos and poke each other. Harmless, maybe even useful. The poison came later. 2007. Facebook opens to advertisers. Suddenly, the business model crystallizes. We'll let people use the site for free, and we'll sell their attention to the highest bidder. Standard stuff. The same model as television. But then they realized something. They had something television never had. Data. Mountains of it. Everest-sized piles of behavioral data, and they could use that data to target ads with surgical precision. You're a 35-year-old woman who just searched for baby cribs? Here's an ad for diapers. You're a 50-year-old man who liked 3 posts about golf? Here's an ad for clubs. You're a 22-year-old who keeps clicking on articles about anxiety? Here's an ad for therapy apps, or meditation apps, or maybe something darker. The targeting got better, creepier, more effective. But even that wasn't enough. Because Facebook realized something else. The more time you spend on Facebook, the more ads they can show you. So the question became, how do we keep people on Facebook longer? The answer was the algorithm. 2009. Facebook changes the news feed from chronological to algorithmic. Now you're not seeing posts in the order they were posted. You're seeing posts in the order Facebook thinks will keep you engaged. And Facebook defines engagement as likes, comments, shares, interaction. And what drives interaction? Emotion, strong emotion, anger, fear, outrage, anxiety, jealousy, tribal solidarity. The algorithm started favoring content that triggered these emotions. Not because Facebook wanted to make people angry, but because angry people engage more. They click more. They comment more. They share more. And more engagement means more ads. More ads means more money. The perverse incentive is built into the foundation. Facebook makes more money when you're angry than when you're calm, when you're anxious than when you're content, when you're divided than when you're united. And this isn't just Facebook. It's YouTube, it's Twitter, it's TikTok. It's every platform that makes money from advertising and algorithmic content delivery. They're all optimizing for engagement. And engagement correlates with emotional arousal. So the internet is being shaped into an engine of outrage. Now we need to talk about what this does to a society. When everyone is being shown a personalized version of reality, consensus becomes impossible. You and your neighbor can look at the same event and see completely different things because the algorithm showed you different angles, different interpretations, different narratives. This isn't an accident. This is the fracturing of shared reality, and it's being driven by profit. The apps don't want you to agree. They want you to fight, because fighting is engaging. Calm discussion doesn't generate clicks. Nuance doesn't go viral. Complexity doesn't drive ad revenue. So the algorithm rewards simplicity, tribalism, moral certainty. It rewards the most extreme voices on every side. It creates filter bubbles where you only see opinions that confirm what you already believe. And then it radicalizes you, slowly, by showing you slightly more extreme content each time until the Overton window in your head has shifted so far you don't even recognize it. This is happening to everyone, liberals and conservatives, young and old, rich and poor. The mechanism is the same, only the content changes. And the people running these companies know. They absolutely know. There are leaks, whistleblowers, internal documents. Facebook's own research showed that Instagram makes teenage girls feel worse about themselves. That the algorithm promotes divisive content because it drives engagement. That they could change this, but chose not to, because changing it would hurt profits. They know they're hurting people. They know they're destabilizing democracies. They know they're shredding the social fabric, and they keep doing it because the money is too good. This is the banality of evil in the 21st century. Nobody thinks they're the villain. Everyone is just optimizing their metrics, increasing engagement, hitting their quarterly targets, doing their job. But the cumulative effect is catastrophic. Here's what the system has created: a generation that can't focus, can't be alone with their thoughts, can't delay gratification, can't distinguish truth from fiction, can't maintain deep relationships, can't find meaning outside of external validation. The apps have trained you to need them, to feel anxious without them, to check them compulsively, to measure your worth in likes and followers and comments. This is addiction. This is behavioral conditioning. This is the Skinner box scaled to civilization. And the worst part? You're paying for your own captivity, not with money, with something more precious: your mind, your time, your autonomy, your humanity. So what do you do? Because this is the question that matters. You can understand the system. You can see the trap. But if you can't escape, the knowledge is just another weight. Here's the hard truth. Individual solutions to systemic problems are not enough. You can delete the apps. You can throw away your phone. You can move to a cabin in the woods. But the system will keep grinding. The feedlot will keep operating. But individual action is still necessary, because you can't dismantle a system you're completely dependent on. So here's the first step. Awareness. Real awareness. Not intellectual understanding. Visceral awareness. The kind that comes from actually watching your own behavior. Try this. For one day, every time you reach for your phone, stop, just for 5 seconds, and ask yourself, why am I doing this? What do I think is waiting for me? What am I trying to avoid? You'll be horrified by the answers. You're bored. You're anxious. You're lonely. You're avoiding work. You're avoiding silence. You're avoiding yourself. The phone is a pacifier, an emotional crutch, a way to numb the fundamental discomfort of being human. And once you see this, really see it, you can start to break free. Step 2. Delete the apps. Not all of them, but the ones that are farming you the hardest. Social media, the ones with infinite scroll, the ones designed to be addictive. You don't need them. You think you do, but you don't. Your friends will still be your friends without Facebook. Your career will survive without LinkedIn. Your creativity will not die without Instagram. What will happen is this. You'll get uncomfortable, anxious. You'll feel like you're missing something. This is withdrawal. This is your brain crying out for its dopamine drip. Sit with it. Let it pass. It will. Step 3. Replace the void. Because here's what nobody tells you about quitting addictive technology. You need to fill the space with something real. Read books, long ones, the kind that require sustained attention. Your brain will resist. Push through. Have conversations, real ones, face to face, where you can't check your phone. Walk. Without headphones, without podcasts. Just walk and think and let your mind wander. Create something, anything. Write, draw, build, make music. Not for an audience, not for likes, for yourself. This will feel unnatural at first. Your brain has been rewired for constant stimulation. Silence will feel like death. Slowness will feel like failure. But here's the secret. On the other side of that discomfort is something the apps can never give you. Depth, meaning, self-knowledge. The ability to think your own thoughts instead of thoughts planted by an algorithm. Step 4. Understand the economics. Stop giving your data away for free. If a service is valuable to you, pay for it. With money, not with your attention. This is radical in the current moment. But it's the only way to break the incentive structure. When you pay with money, you're the customer. When you pay with attention, you're the product. And yes, this means some things become inaccessible. Some services will be too expensive. Some content will be locked behind paywalls. That's the price of not being farmed. But here's the thing. You don't need as much as you think you do. The system has convinced you that you need constant content, constant updates, constant stimulation. You don't. You need a handful of real relationships, meaningful work, physical health, mental clarity, a sense of purpose. None of these things come from apps. Step 5. Get political. Because individual solutions only go so far, the system needs to change. We need regulation. Real regulation, the kind that puts human well-being above corporate profit. Ban surveillance advertising. Ban algorithmic content delivery for children. Require transparency in how algorithms work. Make companies liable for the harms their products cause. This will be a fight. The tech companies have unlimited money and armies of lobbyists, but it's a fight worth having, because the alternative is surrendering your brain to people who see you as livestock. Here's the final thing you need to understand. This isn't about technology being bad. Technology is neutral. A knife can cut bread or cut throats. This is about who controls the technology and what incentives they have. Right now, the technology is controlled by corporations, whose only legal obligation is to maximize shareholder value. And they've discovered that the most profitable way to do that is to addict you, surveil you, manipulate you, and sell access to your brain. This is not sustainable. Not for individuals, not for societies, not for the species. Something is going to break. The question is what you do before that happens. Do you keep feeding the machine? Keep pressing the lever? Keep walking into the chutes? Or do you step back, reclaim your time, reclaim your attention, reclaim your mind? The choice is yours, for now, but the window is closing. Every day you spend in the digital feedlot is a day your brain is being reshaped. Your behavior is being modified. Your autonomy is being eroded. You are being farmed. And the only way out is to see the fence, understand the system, and decide that your humanity is worth more than their profits. This is the fight of our time. Not against machines, against the people who program the machines to program us. Wake up, pay attention, and whatever you do, stop checking your phone 47 times a day. Because every time you do, you're volunteering for your own domestication, and that should bother you more than it does.